our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait and see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. Never raise up a white flag. Didn't come this far just to turn back. The curtains fall for the last act. Breaking that levee, breaking that levee. We don't back down, this is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait and see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. We don't back down, this is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait and see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary.
It's explosive. You can't control this, no. I got metal running through my bones, a resurrection like a ghost. Hurricane, go ahead and blow. Where you could keep your white flag, I'll never fold. A shadow on a battlefield, a survivor never yield. A thunder, go ahead and shake. Don't run from the storm when I feel the rain. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. I got a fever in my blood, a falling embers from above. I feel the heat when the pressure blows, a wildfire that you can't control. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. With every beat on my heart, I'll be the light in the dark. You can't control this, I'm exploding. it's explosive.
We're a racing family that you can trust on and off the track. So if you're looking for foundation repair, go online or give us a call to schedule your free inspection. If we fix your foundation and you mention Race On Texas, you will get a 1-year free subscription to the All Access Pass.
Our family started RVing a few years ago, and when I think about all those campfires and fishing trips and sporting events, these are memories that are going to last a lifetime. I want to help others do the same thing. Hi, I'm Kevin Smith, General Manager at the all-new Click It RV in Milton Freewater. People in this community are very familiar with this location and the great service they've always received. So the biggest question we get is, where is Keith? The great news is, Keith is still here.
I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of things come and go. Through all the changes that we have seen, one thing that has not changed for us is the quality of our service.
Buying an RV is a big purchase, but it should be a fun and happy experience. So whether it be in sales or service or parts, our mission is simple: be the best. From our team here at Click It RV in Milton Freewater, we invite you to come down and experience the difference.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
LSRTV, your home for sim racing, welcomes you to round number 2 of the FEG PC Wednesday Night Super Speedway Series. We're at the virtual World Center of Racing, the Daytona International Speedway, for round number 2. Should be an exciting 35 laps. We're glad you're along for the ride. Fixed setup, 50% fuel, no fast repair. Who will win race 2 of the season? Good evening, I'm Wesley Outlaw. Jason Rockefeller is alongside Charles Wooten in our broadcast production booth. And Jason, the excitement that we saw from Talladega last Wednesday night will now be put on pause, as now we go to another great super speedway, Daytona, and then we'll go back to Talladega and back to Daytona. It is the Talladega-Daytona Super Speedway Series. Big money on the line, close to $5,000 up for grabs. And how you doing tonight, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing just fine, Wesley. I'm ready to get this show on the road. Last week at Talladega, last Wednesday night, we saw a heck of a show all the way from start to finish. Ended up in an overtime and finished under caution, which saw Andrew Navarro take home the checkered flag at the virtual Talladega Super Speedway. Expecting the same type of racing here tonight, Wesley. Remember, last week we saw a lot of green flag racing until the second half. We saw two pit stops during the race. I'm expecting the same thing here tonight, my friend, and I'm ready to go.
And what's surprising, though, Andrew Navarro is not even on the entry list yet. He's not even made any track time. He better jump in the server here before qualifying starts.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think Andrew Navarro's probably going to show up here tonight. If he does, it's going to be super, super late. I mean, by the looks of it, I don't think he's going to be here tonight. But I'm noticing a lot of the same guys we saw last week. Brandon Broadfoot, who was up at the front a majority of the night. Also, J.R. Miller, Aubrey Thompson, I believe Blaine Dalton as well. A few others throughout it as well. Matthew Baker, Kenneth McCullough Jr., John Ward, just to name a few that are still here from last weekend. or last Wednesday night rather, to tonight, I'm sure they're going to be really, really hungry after last week's Talladega finish for sure.
Let's take a look at the Hunt the Front TV race information as we get ready for tonight's event. Obviously, one fast repair, 100% fuel load, 3 sets of tires for a 35-lap race. That's kind of crazy. 3 attempts at a green-white checker if need be, and this is 35 laps. I think we're kind of showing you the preliminary of what tonight's of what a regular 200-mile race would be. So, well, we got to make some adjustments. I think I just mentioned it when we came on the air. There you go. A 35-lap race. That all of this is all fun in games here. So, again, no fast repairs. No fast repairs. 50% fuel and a fixed setup. Thank goodness I keep up with these notes in my calendar. So, all ready to go here tonight. Top 15 drivers for the championship. Money when it's all said and done. Let's take a look at the Kaufman Creative weather conditions, including tonight air temp 77, track temp 79, wind speed at 2, partly cloudy skies on the virtual night conditions at the World Center of Racing. And Jason, you run Daytona differently at night than you do in the day as well.
Yeah, you definitely do. There's definitely a lot more grip out there. Remember, this surface got reconfigured. Well, not reconfigured, but resurfaced after the 2010 season for NASCAR. Remember how bumpy, how rigid it was, how much the track came up during the 2010 Daytona 500. This track was repaved for the start of the 2011 Daytona 500. We've obviously had now over a decade with this surface here from the World Center of Racing. So there's a little bit of tire wear here, not as much as per se a mile and a half. You know, it is a super speedway. Tires aren't going to be nearly as much, but you could still lose this grip. But obviously with the nighttime conditions tonight, with obviously no sun around, cool temperatures for, you know, a mid-Florida, type, race. I mean, this is going to be interesting to say the least. The track temperature is perfect. The weather is perfect. And it's going to be a fun one for sure here tonight.
Just seen a message in the FEG PC Money Events League social media Discord channel, and he said, everyone, we're 15 minutes to the green flag. We are only 2 drivers away from being in bonus money. Can we hit 40 drivers tonight? Expletives, I think we can. Hey, do we get a bonus broadcast if we get 40 drivers for the race tonight, Jason? What do you think? We need to put that in our contract?
Possibly. That's a possibility. But hey, the more drivers, the better we have out here. Currently, looks like we have 24, 25, 26, 27, 20, 30 drivers registered right now for the session right now. 23 have taken time on the track, and obviously 50 seconds before this practice session will close, and then we will begin qualifying. So it would be cool if some drivers would register real quick. Remember, they have to do it before qualifying, so maybe we could see Andrew Navarro show up here in just a second, along with some other drivers as well. A lot of those guys tend to come in super, super late, and when I mean super, super late, I mean literally last second. So we're going to see who else is going to show up here. 20 seconds left on the board. The more drivers, the better. And remember, Wesley, this track, a lot more narrow compared to the Talladega Super Speedway. You can go about 4 wide here. 4 wide there. 4 wide here is pretty dang risky.
Hey, by the way, it was 30 drivers for the bonus money, and he just updated again saying we are officially now in the bonus money. All fees collected after 30 drivers, dispersed evenly throughout the paid positions. Last call. And by the way, don't forget that there will be a later tonight for this series that will not be broadcasted, but it will be at 10:05 Eastern time coming up later tonight. All right, we go into qualifying now, and here's your chance to race the clock on the 2.5 mile here at the World Center of Racing, the Daytona International Speedway, as, again, these drivers get ready to prepare to ready to roll into qualifying, and obviously you want to put down a really good lap here around the racetrack, Jason.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You're going to see, obviously, when John Anderson here in this 56 machine comes off the pit road laner, right now is on that apron. He's going to exit and then merge up onto the track once he hits that pit road, exit line right here. You're going to see the cone right there on the inside of the racetrack. Now he can go up to the racetrack. So he wants to get up to that top of the racetrack as quickly as he can and Rimride around here to take his one and only green flag lap, which is going to matter. So he wants to make sure he's up at the top of the racetrack and he can get down to the bottom. Stay close to that yellow line, but don't get right up against it, and just hopefully try to keep a steady wheel here in qualifying.
Daytona International Speedway is 2.5 miles long, 4.023 kilometers, with 31 degrees of banking into turns number 1 and 2 to 3 and 4 at the start-finish line, where John Anderson is right now, the 56 truck. 18 degrees, greet that driver. Down the front straightaway as he climbs back up the 31 degrees of banking. The front straightaway measures in at 3,800 feet. That's 1,200 meters. Long back straightaway known as the Daytona Super Stretch, 910 meters long, 3,000 feet. And obviously, 50-foot wide areas for racing. One of the longest areas on pit road, 1,600 feet long. And of course, 30-foot apron in the turns. That's addition to the 40-foot wide racing surface around Daytona. Take advantage of it as here comes John Anderson working off of turn number 4, Jason. We'll see what kind of lap he puts down in the 56 as it comes to the line.
Yeah, and right now at the line, going to be just a little over 52 seconds right now for John Anderson. He goes up to the top of the board, but this is where we're going to start seeing a lot of drivers shuffling around. 3, now 4 drivers have posted a lap. Brandon Broadfoot, fastest truck here on the racetrack with a 52.377. He's going to back it down. Remember, he was strong last week in that number 10 machine. Now Steven Scott jumps up to the top with a 52.344. And like I said, Wesley, as these guys complete their qualifying laps, you're going to see this leaderboard shake up big time here before qualifying ends.
Mark Vondale now on the clock. Matthew Baker, by the way, go to the top of the board of the number 5 Chevrolet, 52.284 seconds. John Mollahan is right there in second. Watching all these guys working their way down to the back straightaway. There's his Vondale. Hey, by the way, don't forget, join Jason and myself, as well as Charles in the production tonight, right here on the LSRTV YouTube and the Community Radio Network. 87.9 FM for the simulcast of the final race of the championship for the Northwest Click It RV Fix Series. We're going to go 250 miles, 125 laps around Auto Club Speedway. And I'm understanding Andrew Navarro has showed up, Jason. There he is in the 42 and qualified second.
Just like I said, he was going to show up last minute there towards the end, and these guys have until until the practice session ends to register. So the second that practice session ends, you are no longer eligible to register. So he probably was registered beforehand, waited it out, or waited last minute to register, but he's here now, and we're going to see if he can go back-to-back here tonight from Talladega all the way to Daytona. Right now, second on the board for that 42 Premier Racing Setups Toyota.
Anybody else going to step up to the board and qualify? It looks like right now, looking at the scoring pylon, everybody in the top 20 has made time. Still waiting to see some other drivers make it out there. Kyler Wynn from Canada, who had a top 5 finish last week at Talladega, unable to go out to qualify just yet. And the clock is winding down. They might defer to start at the rear of the field behind the top 20 qualifiers. It looks like Matthew Baker, 52.284 seconds, is going to be the man to set the pole for round number 2 of the FEG PC Wednesday Night Money Series from the World Center of Racing. They're gritting. It's go time. Starting lineup tonight from Daytona. Matthew Baker on the pole, the fast man. Andrew Navarro, winner last week at Talladega in overtime on the front row. Row 1. Row 2, John Mollahan in the number 30 and Mark Vondale in the 59. Row 3, Steven Scott Jr., the 77, and Trevor Osnoth will be in the number 89. Aswarnath, I believe is how you say it. My apologies. Row 4, Richard Elliott, the 02, and a guy that I know from Nazareth, Brandon Broadfoot, will fire off in 8th and the 10. Top 10, Jason, Michael McLean in the 8s, and Logan York, the 0-1, will fire off in 10th on row number 5.
Top 20, row number 6, Damon Gilbert in the 68 machine, and Harrison Whitehead in the 21 to the outside. Row number 7, David Murray in the number 2, and John Anderson in the outside lane in the number 56. Row number 8, we have Michael Manchanka in the 32 machine, and John Darnell III in the 99 machine. Row number 9, we have Sean Corbett in the 45, and George Bark in the 54. Top 20, Wesley, row number 10, Blaine Dalton, Tony Cox on the outside.
And those 20 drivers qualified. Everyone else decided not to, and they'll be in the back. Row 11, Kyler Wynn from Canada in the 82, and Dylan Jones in the 4. Row 12, we'll find Chris Parkman and John Ward, 11 and 92. Row 13, Jeff Merck, 25th in the 60, and Aubrey Thompson alongside in 38. Row 14, Joshua McCullough in the 05, and J.R. Miller in the 78 machine. And your final row of 30 drivers, Kenneth McCullough Jr. and Ron Morris in the 76. And it looks like there is going to be a couple of more add-ons, including Danny Barnes in the 7, Joseph Allen in the 23. And of 33 starters, Justin Mills in the 26. Hey, so there was a bonus money up for grabs if they got more than 30 drivers. They did that. Extra money will be dispersed. And the field is rolling off pit road. By the way, don't forget there is a non-broadcast event for this series coming up at about 10 o'clock tonight. And we are live again with the Northwest Click It RV Fixed Setup Series Championship from Auto Club Speedway, and beginning at 11:20 Eastern Time on your home for sim racing. Preliminary laps underway as the field gets into position, ready to go for this race. Jason, what's so different from Daytona to Talladega as we await the green flag start, my friend?
Oh, well, you know, it's just a lot more narrow, Wesley. I mean, Talladega, like I said earlier, you can go about 4, almost nearly 5 wide down the Alabama Gang super stretch, even the front straightaway through the tri-oval, the fastest part of the racetrack. Daytona, same thing. Tri-oval is the fastest part of this racetrack, but going 4 wide is a very, very big stretch here. You can make it work, but boy, oh boy, you are going to be 1, 2, 3, just mere inches apart from the other competitors' doors on your inside or your outside. So 3 wide is the name of the game. The outside here is very dominant because of how narrow this track is. Remember, it's not as wide as Talladega. So this track, it's a lot more narrow. The outside lane tends to be the lane to be if you want to make sure you can have runs. You're going to see drivers, if they probably get up to the top side, they're going to try to jump down to the bottom. But if you're smart, you'll stay up there and try to lead that top lane around like the Pied Piper Dale Jr. used to here at Daytona.
As I just said in the chat box, everyone strap in and enjoy Daytona. We're ready to feel the roar. Round 2, FEG PC, Wednesday night, money on the line. 35 laps and you have a race at the World Center of Racing. Trouble coming out of not even 300 yards past the start-finish line, and we've got calamity. 56-72, slowly starting to roll away. And the yellow flag will fly here. Those are drivers including John Anderson and Tony Cox. The 11 was involved. He got caught up in the accident there, and oh my goodness. Jason, just cold tires, what do you think? Get it started?
I honestly don't think it was cold tires. I don't think it was cold tires. I think somebody blew an engine possibly. I want to see if we can go back to that number 56, because when we were on that replay, I heard the sound that the sim usually makes when an engine blows. I wonder if somebody missed a gear possibly. And right here, coming through the start-finish line, I don't know if they've lost a gear or what, but we're going to take a look at it. Let's just take a quick listen here. Once they get through the restart zone, I don't know if it was the 56, but we're about to find out here as they're going to go through the Geico restart zone, and you'll hear to see if something happened. We're about to find out.
And he's on the outside lane as well. Take a listen.
Oh yeah!
Oh, man.
The truck to the inside missed a shift. missed a shift or just downshifted and blew the engine. That's exactly
So
what
whoever's
happened.
in that
You
green
heard.
truck,
The
yeah.
11.
The 11
Wow,
machine, I
that's
believe
odd.
it's the 11. Wow, yes it is. And there's no fast repair. Chris Parkman might be out of this race. Let's go on board with the 11. You're just catching the tail end of it. And let's see. Let's go a little bit backwards here. And now we'll see it. On board with the 11 of Parkman. And Jason, you can elaborate more on this as you got Anderson to his outside.
Oh, it actually
man.
wasn't the 11 machine. It was another
It was
monster
Anderson.
truck up at the front. Yeah, I believe so, but you just saw towards the front of the field, the truck that was to the inside there, you could just hear it and see it right there on the restart, or the start rather, and yeah, and that is very odd. It's not uncommon, but it just does not happen a lot where you see a truck like that miss a shift or accidentally just throw it out of gear like that. That is very odd and unfortunately collected a lot of drivers in the middle of that pack.
And all those drivers that just came off of pit road, entering pit road, exiting pit road, taking on more fuel. They're not doing tires. They're filling up the tanks here. Remember, 50% fuel capacity, so they're probably going to have to pit around lap number 20. But I think this might try to cut their pit, sequence a little bit off from what other drivers have. And it looks like everybody, Jason, is going to be coming down to pit road here. Almost everybody has pitted under this caution lap, except for Brandon Broadfoot, Michael McLean, and Blaine Dalton, the top three. Everyone else just came down pit road and got fuel.
Yeah, maybe the 89, the 10, and the 8, and the 6 machine, they want to try something else. They want to get out front, stay out front, be able to pit earlier. And then when they come back out, everybody's going to have to pit maybe a couple laps, 2-3 laps afterwards from them. So obviously they're not on the same fuel sequence as those drivers behind them for Matthew Baker and 5th on back. Well, when they pit, they can all go together. They know they have those 4 trucks that are grouped up 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when they come out, they can run single file, try to make some stuff happen, gain some time, so then when everybody else pits, they can cycle back to the front. I like this move, but I also don't like this move just because everybody else behind them came into the pits. I want to say if there was more trucks, it wouldn't have worked out, but right now, I mean, we're just going to have to find out what happens here and see what happens, obviously, when green flag pit stops do come in for these guys.
Now, Jason, Charles, can we zoom in on the 89 of Aswernoth? It looks like that's Jason Voorhees. Is that Jason Voorhees on the side of the truck? Okay, first off, Halloween is over. It looks like that's Jason with the hockey mask on the side of the truck there. So it's pretty cool. But Halloween is over.
It's all right. It's a few weeks late. It doesn't matter to him.
Maybe he's like me. He's not in the Christmas spirit yet. Let's cut the turkey first. By the way, we are racing next Wednesday night. Happy Turkey Murder Day Eve to everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. And of course, that will be next Wednesday night. Another big race coming up, by the way, don't forget, December the 10th. That's a Sunday night. Sunday night, December the 10th, it will be the American 500 from Talladega. How about this one, Jason? 500 miles around Talladega Super Speedway with the trucks. That's going to be really entertaining. I'm going to enjoy that one.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be an absolute blast for sure. No doubt about it. 500 miles to Talladega is a long time, and these guys are going to have to be really, really patient. We've seen it time and time again. Some drivers just choose to not be patient in those 500-mile races. We've seen it in the past in real life. We've seen it in the past in the sim world. So they're going to have to be patient. And the same goes for these guys. 35 laps. It's not a lot of time if you're in the back, so you have to get to the front in a hurry. But you got to be patient. Know when to make your moves.
This is the iRacing FEG PC Wednesday Night Super Speedway Series round number 2 from Daytona. Let's try this again as the field is bunched up, ready to come back to the Geico restart zone. Trevor Aswernoth, Michael McLean, front row. Green flag goes in the air. Let's try this now. 35 laps with about 30 laps to go, and the field comes to the line. Green flag goes in the air. They'll funnel back off into turn number 1. They'll climb that 31 degrees of banking, and it'll take about a lap or so, Jason, to get up to speed as they head your way into 2.
Back into turn number 2 they go for the first time all night long under green flag conditions. You see some drivers, Brandon Broadfoot, jumping out of line. He goes up to the top side to lead them down the Daytona super stretch. But as they head for turn 3, they're going to start to make their momentum up on that top line. They're going to be side by side for the race lead entering 3.
Bill works their way up the banking into turn number 3 and 4. They stay now 2 by 2, at least for the top 4 or 5 rows. The leader now single file. Asranoff down to the bottom of the racetrack. McLean will follow. Everyone now nip-tuck with one another. We're at 1 lap at full speed. They hold it together. They're back in full song, climbing the banking into turn number 1. Asranoff, McLean, Broadfoot, Dalton. Last week's winner, Navarro from Talladega, your top 5.
And you can just see, Wesley, from what we talked about earlier, how narrow it is here at Daytona. It doesn't even look like there could be a third line made. Last week at Talladega, they were making 3 lanes in the first dang 2 laps of the race all the way to the checkered flag. You just can't do that here. You're riding on board from the passenger cam with Andrew Navarro. He's riding on that bottom lane, somewhere where you're very vulnerable. If a wreck happens, you don't really have a lot of opportunity to go. But the same thing can be said about the outside. But the positive with them, they're going to have more momentum off the corners. They just got to get hooked up right here. Like you see Broadfoot getting the push right there from the number 6 of Blaine Dalton there on the outside lane behind him. They're not going to have the momentum going into the corner, Wesley, but when they come off these corners, they're going to have big momentum here down the Daytona Superstretch.
Aerial coverage for tonight's race down the Superstretch, provided by LSRTV, your home for sim racing. Down that back straightaway, as Jason mentioned, Michael McLean in that lead spot, as Asranoff will stay to the inside. Asranoff stays to the bottom. Navarro now powers his way to the number 2 spot as they come storming off the banking into the triangle here at the World Center of Racing. Cross the line and give another lap to Asranoff. Asranoff in the 89 machine stays to the inside. McLean now trying to get something organized on the top. They work the banking into 1, and they thought about going 3 wide with Broadfoot in the corner.
Double wide, looking like a restart at almost 200 miles an hour. This time coming off turn number 2, passing the camera all the way against the billboards down the Daytona Superstretch. McLean trying to work that outside lane with Brandon Broadfoot right in tow behind him, giving him a big push down the back straightaway into 3 this time.
Mollahan on board there from the tailgate camera from Andrew Navarro. Mollahan right up there alongside, and more battle alongside with McLean and Dalton trying to get in there in the mix. Is also the 6 to the bottom, the up top of Dalton's truck. All this going on as they're right there 2 by 2 with one another. Remember, this is a fast race. It is a 35 lapper here, kind of like a clash, if you will, in this FEG PC Customs Wednesday Night Money Series. A little bump drafting going on. Navarro got loose just a little bit as he holds his line in the middle of that monkey battle into turn number 3. Wow.
And Brandon Broadfoot too, Wesley. He almost got shoved right into the door of Navarro down in that bottom lane. You see him there, second car in line behind that Kyle Busch Lucas Oil inspired Toyota, or rather Chevy Silverado that Brandon Broadfoot's pushing. He got a push from Blaine Dalton, almost sent him into Premier Racing Setup's truck of Andrew Navarro there on the inside. Now as we're getting into the double digits laps, I would probably say here, Wesley, if we're going to start seeing pit stops, it's going to be coming around lap 18, probably lap 20.
Yeah, I was thinking about the same thing. We saw them coming down to the pit lane a little early, but the reason why is obviously, as you mentioned, still a long way to go in this race as all these guys hold their line down the back straightaway. This is a 35-lap sprint, yes, but still, we saw in that early caution almost everybody came down to the pits and took on tires and fuel. The only drivers that didn't, 5 laps behind everyone else, is the drivers, of course, of Broadfoot Ashwanath, and of course, I believe it was Mollahan that did not come down to pit road. McLean, my apologies. All the while, McLean on the outside, trying to battle Ashwanath for the lead. He goes to the lead into the Lucas Oil number 8 on the corner into 1. He's got some bump with Broadfoot into 2.
Yeah, but that bottom right now, led by Trevor Ashwanath, trying to make sure that that inside lane surges ahead, but down this back straightaway, off turn number 2 and off turn number 4, that outside lane is just a lot stronger than that bottom because they are at the top of the racetrack. They're going to have more of a downhill speed off these corners, and that's why you're seeing them be so strong off these corners. It just amazes me, Wesley. These guys pushing like this, you got to be careful pushing like this. Remember, don't push the pusher. If your driver's behind those second trucks in line from the bottom and the top, you got to make sure you're not pushing the pusher because you could create some kind of calamities. We're starting to have some 3-wide racing back in the pack.
Yeah, just about 3-4 laps into this long green flag run now, if you will. It's working down lap number 11 of 35. It's 3 wide behind them, behind the top 10. Led by the top 10 of McLean. McLean on the outside lane up the safer barrier down the super stretch. That goes on as they work into 3.
Back down into turn number 3. Ashwanath, he's trying to make sure that bottom lane stays hooked up together. Look at that number 92, John Ward. He was the first driver to pull out of line and make it 3 wide, and he is making it work. Oh, we got trouble. Big crash. Trevor Ashwanath into the wall. Lots of trucks going around, multiple. It's the big one at Daytona on turn number 4. Brandon Broadfoot involved, Danny Barnes, John Mollahan. Lots of drivers scattered all over the front straightaway coming off turn 4.
Second caution of the race here on lap number 12. They were coming off of turn 4, storming through the tribal, and then calamity. Jason, you saw it break loose. Here's a replay.
Yeah, and you just see coming off the corner right here, watch Andrew Navarro. He's going to give, I believe, a big push. Or no, actually, Ashwanath thought he was going to be clear, and the 8 started having momentum. And Ashwanath, he just came up a little bit too late, started a massive multi-truck pileup right there, hence the big one at Daytona. Thought there was a lot more trucks involved than initially what I thought, but a lot of guys got around that pretty much unscathed. He did a great job. I think there might be some damage to the Navarro machine right there. Not too sure. We're going to see maybe if we can look back at the replay one more time because he got through that just barely.
Almost everybody within the top 10 of the pack involved in that accident. Let's take a look at it one more time with a replay of Ashwanath turned into McLean. McLean into Broadfoot. Broadfoot then got in to Kyler Wynn and some other drivers. And there you see the end result as another caution comes out as they were wrecking inside the Geico restart zone, working into the tri-oval. Another look at it one more time. There's contact, updraft gone wrong from McLean. McLean got into Ashwanath. Other drivers win, others Broadfoot all collected. I want to say also the 59 got involved in it. That's the driver, of course, of Mark Von Dale, Logan York, Richard Elliott, John Anderson, I think, might have got a piece of it again as well. Tony Cox, David Murray, I believe, too. So there you go. Now, Navarro takes a mulligan, if you will, after winning Talladega. Now, Jason, with 20 laps to go when they come to the line, he is now the leader, and I'm thinking everybody's going to be coming to pit road watching Navarro, and they will see monkey do. Here they come, and this could possibly be the money stop of the race.
Yeah, it very well could, but I think they're probably going to still have to pit one more time. Once they get out of the pits here and catch that pace car, they're going to try to save every single ounce of fuel in the fuel cell that they can. Right here, this is the money stop. Navarro slides right into his box to the 77, Stephen Scott Jr. Here comes the 5 of Matthew Baker. Others in as well. Only fuel for the Andrew Navarro machine. Same goes for Stephen Scott Jr., John Ward as well, who I believe wins the race off the pit road if I'm standing correct.
So pit stops ongoing now and completed. John Ward will be now the new driver. Up in front, Andrew Navarro, John Ward, Stephen Scott Jr. That's the way it stands right now with 20 laps to go. Let's take a quick break. We're back. More Daytona only getting started with the FEG PC Customs Wednesday night Money Super Speedway Series from the World Center of Racing after our second caution. We'll return in a moment.
We're a racing family that you can trust on and off the track. So if you're looking for foundation repair, go online or give us a call to schedule your free inspection. If we fix your foundation and you mention Race on Texas, you will get a 1-year free subscription to the All Access Pass.
At Click It RV, we know there's a lot of heritage and history at this location. RV sales and service has been part of this community for decades. We knew there was an incredible opportunity here, but to see where we've come in just a year is incredible. None of it would be possible without the patronage and support from this community. So whether it be a more convenient and accessible service drive, a fully stocked parts department, or this amazing sales facility, what drives this team daily is making sure our customers leave here with the best possible experience.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we're back at Daytona. iRacing on LSRTV. Round number 2 of the FEG PC Custom Wild Wednesday Super Speedway Money Series from the World Center of Racing. I'm Wesley Outland, Jason Rockefeller alongside Charles Wooten in the box working on the buttons. Let's take a look real quickly at the Click It RV. No, I'm sorry. It's the Virginia 811 call before you dig caution summary. And there it is so far with 20 to go. 2 cautions, 5 caution laps, and 5 lead changes in the race. And obviously, Jason will get ready to try to go back to a green flag here, and Navarro will be the guy ready to bring us to the start.
Yeah, Andrew Navarro knows what he's doing right now, but don't count out John Ward. He's been very aggressive up on that outside. Surprised he got around that last wreck there. But I expect John Ward to be very good. Same thing with Kyler Wynn, Blaine Dalton. A lot of guys have an opportunity to get to this front right here.
Don't forget round 3, Thanksgiving Eve, next Wednesday night from Talladega as well. Green flag goes back in the air, field back inside the Geico restart zone, and they funnel back out into turn number 1 and 2, 2 by 2 by 2, as they get into formation. Outside lane quickly works over Navarro. Ward to the lead. Navarro tries to battle back, but not for long. The Canadian win to second as they work off 2.
And here comes John Ward, outside momentum going to him with help from Kyler Wynn down the Daytona super stretch. Navarro being pushed right now by, I believe that's Blaine Dalton there in that number 6 machine, or actually it's the 77 of Steven Scott Jr. And Kyler Wynn and John Ward, like we talked about earlier, Wesley, if you got a run from the outside, you might jump down to the bottom. We just saw that. John Ward goes to the lead. A little bit of contact between the 77 and the 6 coming off 4.
Somehow they hold it together. 18 laps to go now as they close into the finish of this race in the 35-lap race 2 of the season on the Talladega again next week. Right now, climbing back up to 31 degrees of banking. A little wiggle there for a second. And all the while, it is Ward, now the new leader, Wynn, Navarro, Merck, Darnell. New names we're mentioning, Jason, of the top 5 down the super stretch.
Yeah, always good to mention some drivers that we haven't really talked about these now last 2 weeks right now. The only thing I don't like is that number 6 machine putting up that Midnight Moon Moonshine sponsorship on that truck. Man, I did not like Midnight Moon. It is not very good. So he needs to change his sponsorship for next week for sure.
17 laps to go now. Ward is the leader. Kyler Wynn looking inside, looking outside. By the way, the top 7 now, 8, 9 spots have now gone out single file behind them. Behind Dalton, Mills, and Scott, they are 2 by 2, ready to do-si-do with Thompson in the battle to the bottom out of 2.
Blaine Dalton jumped right down to the bottom, right in front of that number 27 of Justin Mills. You see the 38 Aubrey Thompson trying to push the 27 right there on the bottom side. Just not enough. We're seeing this race kind of become a lot more tame, Wesley, than it was just a handful of laps ago. Remember, we saw the big one out of turn number 4. Everybody now up at the front of the field, kind of single file. You see some drivers jumping out of line, trying to get to the front. But it looks like everything is kind of simmered down for the time being here with 16 laps to go into 1.
All this working back into the banking, 31 degrees into 1 and 2, and everybody holds their line again. It's Ward down, holding on to the lead. Win to second. Everyone's got Navarro third. Top 5 single file off the back straightaway.
Top 5, and
I'm
hurt here and right now. Yeah, Justin Mills gone right now. Seeing him jump down on the leaderboard right now. Unfortunate for him, unless maybe somehow, some way he is back possibly. He's kind of maintained in that 15th position. I think he's stabilized for the time being. Looked like he surged out for just a second, but he's all good right now. Just seeing west of this field starting to jumble back up right now. Talked about it being tame. It is anything but tame yet again here at the front.
Coming to the line, 20 laps in, 15 laps to go now here at Daytona International Speedway on iRacing. And they work back into the banking. It's still Ward. He's got the lead. Everyone's starting to look inside, outside. That's Darnell. He can't go nowhere alongside Dalton off 2.
Down the back straightaway, you see the 77 of Steven Scott. He'll jump up to the top with Blaine Dalton and Chris Parkman, who was involved in that first incident on the very initial start, Wesley. Like you mentioned, not even 300 yards past the start-finish line, and they are coming to the front right now with a head of steam on the top lane off 4.
14 laps to go now as they storm through the tribal, back across, flashing under the flag stand, into turn number 1 and 2. It's Ward on the bottom of the racetrack. Here comes Scott. He was just into the top 10 a moment ago. He's battling now for the lead on the outside lane. He's got Wynn. He's got Dalton. Navarro back to 5th off 2.
2 by 2 by 2. You see one driver get a little bit loose back there, about 6th on line, or 6th in line on the bottom side. But that top group right now, they're kind of separated by about 2 truck lengths from the third truck's rear bumper to the front right there, from the rear of Chris Parkman. Now they're jumbled back up the inside lane, starting to get more momentum as Blaine Dalton looks to try to get around this 77. He'll tuck back in line. Green flag, pit stops beginning yet again. Will we see any incidents? So far, so good. Everybody makes it to pit road clean for what will be the final stops if there's no overtime finish for the race.
Yeah, remember they're on 50% fuel capacity. That means they can only go probably half the distance than usual. And usually where you would see probably 30, 35 laps on a fuel run, cut that to maybe 10 or 15 now. And honestly, we see some that pitted earlier, and I think that's the advantage that we see from the last caution. If you pitted, everyone's coming off of pit road. Jason, I did not see tires. I saw fuel only. This scatters everybody around the 2.5 mile, and Scott's the leader as he works into 3 and 4.
Yeah, and here we go. Here comes the second group coming to pit road. This time by, they don't want to have any issues. The 77 slows up big time. A little bit of contact there, but they get down to pit road cleanly. Now the question is, will they be able to pit quick enough, take fuel only like everybody else did, which is more than likely going to be the call. But obviously they all need to get out of pit road and file back up together very quickly and swiftly if they want to make sure they can maintain this lead and stay with that first pack that pitted.
Here comes everybody coming off of pit road from that second group. Chris Parkman, by the way, now the new leader. J.R. Miller in second. That's the 11 and the 78. Hard charges of the race, and there you see him right now. And now you see Miller peeling in. Parkman, also Dalton. They're all coming down. This will cycle back around and give the lead to Jeff Merkin, the 60. when they catch him in about 23 seconds. They're on the back straightaway now, going to 3, Jason.
You see Kyler Wynn, Andrew Navarro, Dylan Jones, they're all nose to tail right now. They have a big gap over the rest of this field. Remember, late in the race at Talladega last week, we saw them get separated. Everybody kind of bunched back up into one small little pack. There was some aggressive driving. We saw late race yellow, which caused not 1 but 2 overtime finishes. Ended in a caution coming to the white flag and led to Andrew Navarro picking up his first win of the first race of this season here for these drivers. You see him starting to battle. Here comes Matthew Baker. He's got help from Dylan Jones, or rather Ron Morris Jr. to the outside. They battle for the lead down the Daytona Superstretch.
Actually a bigger pack than what we had anticipated, as well, as they'll be working to come to the 10 to go at the stripe this time around. Matthew Baker in the lead. There you see him. He's under attack by Jeff Merck. Kyler Wynn will follow. That's the Canadian. There goes Andrew Navarro to the inside. 10 lap go here at Daytona. Round number 2. The FEG PC Customs Money Series. Big Money Wild Wednesdays Super Speedway style into turn 1 in Daytona.
Single file here with just under now 10 laps to go. Baker trying to hold everybody at bay. The best thing these guys can do is to not battle, because they have about a 2.5 second gap from Matthew Baker back to Chris Parkman. But that gap could slowly close. But the plus side for these 5 drivers, 6 drivers up at the front, is those guys are racing side by side behind them. But obviously this front pack doesn't want to get side by side either, because it leads to Chris Parkman and the rest of that field catching them as well. The best thing they can do is stay single file until the white flag.
Couple of lap tracks or trucks on the tail end of the lead lap up ahead. Back marker trucks, if you will. Then there's 3 separate packs that Jason just referred to. From the camera angle here, you can see them as they work off of 2 down the super stretch. There's that first pack of 6 from Baker on to Morris. Then you've got Parkman and Ward. Then behind that pack, led by York and Company, there's another big plethora of trucks trying to swallow up the pack. If that happens, you got another 20 some odd trucks to battle for the win. Meanwhile, it's Baker leading them off 4.
Yeah, coming to 8 laps to go. This time by a little bit of lap traffic in front of them. But Chris Parkman and that group, they have lost about 4/10, nearly half a second now. Now it's going to be over half a second to the back bumper, obviously, of Ron Morris Jr. So they need to get organized. Them racing side by side is not gonna help anymore. And I think that group right now, Wesley, if this group right here doesn't wreck, those 6 drivers up at the front of this field right now, they're gonna be the ones battling. But you just see them all over the place trying to get around one another, but it's just not helping.
See the pack now working their way into turn number 3 up to 31 degrees of banking lap. Sheen Anderson goes to the high side, lets them have at it. Now he'll close it in line. Here comes that second, that third pack storming off of turn number 4. More slow trucks up on the outside lane. This slows off the momentum. Meanwhile, this allows Baker to pull away to the line. 7 laps to go as that third pack now crosses the stripe. Baker's on his way back to turn 1. Who's going to break out of line as they work into 1?
I really expect right here, Wesley, probably to see Dylan Jones, Andrew Navarro, Kyler Wynn do something to get around Jeff Merck and Matthew Baker. But Matthew Baker is a very good super speedway driver from what we've seen here, not only last week, but also tonight. He's going to try his hardest to throw blocks, but remember, you throw a block too late, you go around, you lose momentum. If he's going to make a move, Wesley, they're going to have to wait till the very last lap here, as Chris Parkman and that group, they're starting to gain just a little bit. They've gained a second here these last 2 laps. They're coming in a hurry. Will they run out of time, though? That's the question. 6 laps to go from Daytona next time around.
It is Baker, it is Wynn, it is Merck, Navarro. Now that totally changes now. Navarro to third. Navarro up top side. He's looking for more. He's got a wingman with the Canadian to Wynn. Wynn will go to the lead now. Kyler Wynn to the back straightaway. Navarro now back to the inside. To the double yellow line. Everyone hugs that corner. Down the back straightaway as they go into 3. Wynn the new leader.
Just like I thought, Wynn, Navarro, Jones, they were going to make a move. I'm surprised they made it this early. But guess what? Yeah, you're in the lead now, but look who's coming with a head of steam. They've gained 2 seconds in 1 lap. Chris Bartman in that group, they are there. This goes from a 6-truck battle to the whole field possibly having a chance to win. 5 laps to go from the World Center of Racing.
It's now about a 22-truck tandem, if you will, from Kyler Wynn to Sean Corbett that have a chance to try to get into this draft pack to try to go for the win. Who's going to jump out of line? Whoa, here we go, guys, going loose. Hold on to it, man, just a little bit, a little wiggle and a jiggle and a giggle and a bobble. John Ward almost bonsaied on Parkman. Parkman now losing ground. Here comes the cavalry storming by him. You ever heard of the cliche, bringing a knife to a gunfight? That's the same setting of what happens here at Daytona, from being a fast machine to a sit and duck. And they're going to fall back. They got to get back in line to find that draft of speed. Meanwhile, off of turn number 4, Kyler Wynn is the leader. 4 to go at Daytona. They go back to 1.
And Matthew Baker jumped out of line, saw Ward, and also others going up to the top side. They're going to put Navarro in Wynn in the sucker hole on the bottom side of the racetrack. The 92 of John Ward heads to the bottom. He's in front of Ron Morris. But here comes Matthew Baker, Dylan Jones. They're trying to work back to the front. 3.5 laps to go as they work into 3.
Down the back straightaway they go. Everyone now starting to get tandem up 2 by 2 by 2. They're going to Dosito up the bank, get into turn number 3. It's Wynn to the inside. Jones on the outside. Navarro and Baker, they hook up with one another, and they're all going to get something started on the outside, ladies. Here comes now the big machine. They turn each other into the wall. Caution is out. 78 in the fence. Other trucks wrecking. And this will set up overtime for the 2nd week in a row in the Super Speedway Money Series. J.R. Miller, the short end of the stick of the Blaster Ford, turned into the safer area, firewall deep. Some other trucks involved, Jason, and we're going to overtime.
Just like last week too, Wesley, and you saw Kenneth McCullough Jr. in the 03 Georgia Bulldogs machine there in that Silverado. He tried to go 3 wide, but you're going to see right here that red truck unfortunately just starts coming up, or yeah, it just comes right up right in front of him there, and that Live Fast Racing inspired Ford F-150 and just goes right around in front of the field. And obviously, like you said, Wesley, this is going to lead us to our first attempt at overtime, 2, I believe, if needed be.
Yeah, tough break there. 3rd car of the race, a long green flag rundown. Jason, here's the thing. I got to ask you this question. You got a chance for tires and fuel. We haven't really seen more tires than anything else besides fuel stops. Do you pit, or is track position premium right now, especially with this overtime coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly would probably say track position. You have to. I mean, the closer you are at the front, and I know that people are probably thinking, oh, well, it's Daytona, Talladega, whatever it may be. You can win from anywhere. Heck, you could be, you know, like not Chris Buescher, but oh my goodness, James Buescher. Remember back at the end of the 2011 or 2012 Drive for COPD 300, he was 11th. Coming to the checkered flag, and the leaders, Kyle Busch, Tony Stewart, lots of others, Logano, all went around in the NASCAR Xfinity Series race. Coming into turn 4, they all wrecked. And one car comes through, and it was James Buescher from 11th to 1st in just one corner. But it's not the same way it works nowadays. That was back in the tandem drafting. This is pack racing with the trucks. It's 2 wide racing. It's hard to go 3 wide. You have to have track position. So you have to make sure you stay at the front and stay committed to whoever's on your rear bumper or on your front bumper and know when to make your moves.
Hey, another example was back at Talladega this year when Jeb Burton, good friend with Solid Rock Carriers on the car with, of course, the great people that Kirk and Lynette IPOC as a sponsor, and you know, he was all the way back in 15th. They crash going into turn number 3, cars flying through the air upside down, and here comes Jeb Burton going through the casualty, comes out smelling like a wet rose, and he went on to win at Talladega. So yeah, anything can happen. We can see this happen here right now as well. Take your pick. We got a lot of people watching. Don't forget, round number 3, we're at Talladega. Speaking of Talladega, next Wednesday night for Happy Thanksgiving Eve, Turkey Day Eve, we're here. Join us. Hope you and yours have a great, happy Thanksgiving. The holidays are upon us, and don't forget tonight, the championship race of the Northwest Racing Series, Click and RV Fixed Series. Jason, myself, Charles on production. The final event of the year in Season 4 tonight from Auto Club Speedway. Our producer said he's got his money on the 38 machine. Whoever that is, it's Aubrey Thompson. Aubrey Thompson. I'm going to say that's a guy. Could be a woman's name, but I think it's a guy there in that 38 machine. But anyhow, the lights are off on the pace card. And Jason will get ready for overtime number 1. Let everybody know the overtime rules, buddy, because we had to go to double overtime last Wednesday night for the opening race at Talladega. And maybe a little bit of history repeating, deja vu here at World Center of Racing Daytona.
Yeah, and for the folks obviously watching for the first time, if you're just tuning in now, the way that obviously it works in NASCAR, and the same thing with iRacing, is 3 attempts usually at an overtime finish. In this series, we have 2. So that being said, once the leaders take the green flag here for our first attempt at overtime, it'll be 2 laps to go, aka what oldies like ourselves know, Wesley, as a green-white checkered. That will be 1 time around. The next time will lead to the caution flag, or not the caution flag, but the white flag. If there is a caution with 2 laps to go, we'll re-rack them, restack them, do it 1 more time. But if the caution comes out on the white flag in either attempt, race is over. Whoever maintains their speed is the leader at the front of the field. They will be deemed the winner, which we saw last week. 2 attempts at overtime, coming to the white flag off turn 4. The field careening out of control. Andrew Navarro gets through after a great move to the outside lane, gets through unscathed. He won your first race of this season, and he's trying to go back-to-back here tonight. It's going to be Dylan Jones. Kyler went up at the front. Matthew Baker, Andrew Navarro, Aubrey Thompson, John Ward, your first 3 rows. Wesley, any of these 6 drivers can probably win, but if they wreck, oh boy, it's going to be a whole different story and a whole different ballgame.
Overtime attempt number 1. Remember, they take that white flag, they scamper back to the checker. Wreckers or checkers. Ready for the field to come to the line. Green flag. Strap in. Everybody's all bunched up tighter than the lid at the Thanksgiving table, fighting over the last croissant. Into turn 1. Dylan Jones on the outside. Way into the bottom. And we already got a wrecking on the inside. Below the apron, though. No caution. Below the apron of the racetrack. They're out of harm's way. Trucks are littered. They'll be gone by the time we get back around. They're in turn 2 and the green stays out.
Oh, and there we go. We got a massive crash.
It's
It's
like
going to be
a
switched around in front of the field right there. Only 1, 2 trucks. Oh, hard up into the wall right there. That is Ryan Morris Jr. involved. Other trucks as well. And Wesley, this is going to lead us to our 2nd attempt at overtime, and our last one as well.
Here's a look at the first one. This is a look at the first one. Actually, they're going to show you what happened in the back straightaway. We had an accident, but it was below the bottom of the apron of the racetrack. You're seeing it clear up there on the bottom of turn 1. And now this is where the accident happened. The 76, Ron Morris Jr., turned into the safer barrier down the back straightaway. Turn, McCullough, other machines get into him. The 05 and more. Oh, man. And Jason, let's let everybody know the reason why the caution wasn't through on the first caution, the first incident, if you will, because they're down there at the bottom right. All those trucks scampering, they're at the bottom of the apron. They're not in harm's way, and they're not on the racing surface, but they're below the double yellow line. Now,
yeah, any
you saw that
accident, there is a wreck like that.
And then look at this one. Oh, man. Woo.
2 wrecks in 2 turns.
And double overtime again. We'll have to do this again. Remember, we were double overtime last Wednesday night. Andrew Navarro won. Actually, Navarro didn't even get back to the caution, to the white flag, Jason. If you remember, they wrecked on the second final attempt at overtime. Navarro won under caution. And guess who's right back in the song and dance again?
Andrew Navarro.
Seeing some drivers coming down onto the pit lane. So I'm seeing Dylan Jones, Andrew Navarro, Kyler Wynn, John Ward, Matthew Baker, top 5, as that's updated here. And Jason, we're going to go into one more attempt at overtime, bud. This is it. This is what happened at Talladega last week. And by the way, we're on deck for Talladega next week as well.
Yeah, and this is the thing, too. Like we talked about last week, the race ended under caution with 2 laps to go, and it didn't end. Or we didn't have another overtime because we're only allowed 2 overtime attempts here in the FEG PC Money Series. So, I mean, once this next caution, if the next caution gets thrown, race is over. Whoever is leading at the front, whoever makes it back, obviously, will be the race winner. And you see some guys like Andrew Navarro just saving a little bit of fuel, just making sure he can get to the end. I'm sure all these guys are with that 50% fuel load. See some others down there as well. Not too sure if they can make it. I'm sure with 2 laps to go, these guys are going to make it. The thing is, if the caution comes out, will you have enough to make it back around to the checkered flag? We're going to find out here. We're probably going to re-rack them, restack them right here. Probably going to get the one to go right here.
You know, Jason, we're seeing a lot of these drivers drive below the apron of the racetrack, below the yellow line, to try to conserve fuel. They're driving on the leastest banked part of the racetrack possible to try to continue to have fuel not being used up under consumption during the yellow flag. Now the lights go off for the pace car. We're going to go to 1 to go this time by. And this is it. Double overtime. And again, 2 attempts. Last week, it went to double overtime, and Andrew Navarro was able to steal one in Talladega. And just like this, and listen, I don't want to take anything away from Andrew Navarro, Jason. He's played his cards right. He's methodically been in the right place at the right time. He's been out of trouble. He's done what he needs to do to put himself into this category of trying to win here now.
Yeah, and this is the thing too, you got to make sure, you have your opportunity. Your shot right now is right here. It's all or nothing. You have to make sure you stay out front. You cannot wait. You have to make your moves now, because remember, like we saw last week, Wesley, we're not going to get unlimited overtime attempts like the top 3 sanctioned bodies in NASCAR do. We're only going to have this last attempt. Once the caution comes out, whether it be 2 laps to go, 1 lap to go, race is over. So you want to make sure you're at the front. You cannot wait. So it's very important with this track position here that you're trying to get to the front as quickly as possible.
It's very simple. They got to come back around to take the white flag. If we wreck before the white, shades of what happened at Talladega last week for Navarro won, then the race is official at time of caution. We'll go to the finish. Coming up, the Press Box Motorsports Podcast post-race wrap-up show. Don't forget about the Northwest Click and RV FEG Series Championship race later tonight. About 2 hours time as well on all of these LSRTV broadcast affiliates, as well as on CRN Community Radio Network for the simulcast. Green flag in the air. Overtime number 2 in the FEG PC Customs Wednesday Wild Monday Super Speedway Series Wednesday night. Little history repeating. Navarro to the lead. Not for long though. Jones battles back. Navarro to the point. They work into 1.
And down will this be the final time, or the second to last time round. They go back down this back straightaway here. Navarro shoved out of line. Kyler Wynn gives him the push, and Navarro will jump up to the top Kyler Wings got the bottom with help from, I believe, Dylan Jones in that number 4 machine on the bottom. Actually, that's Matthew Baker as they head into 3 and 4.
Working into turn number 3, Navarro now up on the outside. Win with a push to Navarro, now back to the lead of the inside. They're pushing, they're banging. Here comes McCullough fighting through the middle of the lane. They're going to make their way to the tri-oval. This time by, white flag in the air. Winner take all. Last time in Daytona, Navarro leads, not yet win. McCullough to the top. They're into one final time.
3 wide back behind the race leaders. It's going to come down to the last half lap. Will the caution come out, or can we get home to the finish cleanly? Final time down the Daytona super stretch. You see other drivers trying to go out of line. Here comes Jeff Merck to the outside. Navarro leads in the middle. The 3x3 for the race lead, coming into 3 for the final time.
3x3, here comes the outside top shelf starting to come to work. Navarro, the monkey in the middle to the bottom. The Canadian Kyler Wynn stays to the inside. Navarro with a push. Here comes the 60 up on top. That's Merck. Can he get there? He can't. Navarro's in the middle. Navarro's in the middle. He couldn't get it. Kyler Wynn wins. Oh my goodness. Common scoring has 0.001 at the line. Literally, Jason, listen to this. Everybody from first to 8th is 0.001 at the line. Holy cow. What a finish.
Oh my goodness. Right now, from the last lap times, Kyler Wynn beats out Andrew Navarro by 7/1000ths of a second, and you're looking at it from the aerial coverage provided by LSRTV right at the line. Wow. Kyler Wynn barely beats out the 42 Premier Racing Setups Toyota Tundra of Andrew Navarro. What a race. Andrew Navarro first last weekend, second here tonight. But Kyler Wynn held on there, Wesley. I thought he was going to jump up to the top. Good thing he stayed on the bottom. That's probably what won him the race.
He gave a push to Navarro on the restart, but then once he gave Navarro that push, he quickly went to the inside, and I think Kyler Wynn knew he needed to stay to the bottom of the racetrack, and here comes the sim motion. Entry number 82, up 20 spots at the end of the race to put his Chevrolet into victory lane. Second, different winner now with the FEG PC. Wild wins tonight, Money Super Speedway Series. Talladega next week, Daytona in 2 weeks. That's all they run for 9 weeks straight. And this is fun. You know, Jason, we just love super speedway racing. You just love the drama, the build-up, the story all the way to the end. And, you know, I want to see everybody get the win in these races. But bottom line, man, what a phenomenal job everybody did tonight to make it to the finish. And then, of course, Kyler Wynn, right place, right time, double overtime, gets the victory. Second different winner of the year. Let's look at the results here tonight from Daytona. Wow. The FEG PC Custom PC.com for more information on the series and, of course, how they can update your custom PC to more of your likable standards. Kyler Wynn, the winner. There's the interval, 007. Andrew Navarro, Matthew Baker right there in third. Dylan Jones is fourth. Jeff Merck is in fifth. Aubrey Thompson will finish sixth. John Warren, Chris Parkman, Steven Scott Jr. in ninth, along with George Bark, the top 10. And Jason, when Tomlin and scoring crossed the line, it was going crazy with the top 8 with like 001, 005. I think it even made Tomlin and scoring get a headache there to try to unravel who what the results were.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And here's a top 20. You have McCullough, you have Richard Elliott, Justin Mills, a few others. Trevor Oswernov, unfortunately, not a winner here tonight. Remember, caused that late block, caused the big one earlier on. He's 15th. You've seen Blaine Dalton, who has been very fast here tonight. He comes home 16th. You have Corbett, Miller, Whitehead, and Michael Manchanka. And that number 32 rounds out your top 20.
Logan York will finish 21st. John Anderson, 22nd. Joshua McCullough, 23rd of the Georgia Bulldogs entry. Danny Barnes, 24th. Ron Morris Jr. in 25th. Joseph Allen, Brandon Broadfoot. What might have been for Brandon. He had a strong run until he got wrecked early in that first big wreck. Of course, when it's all said and done, Damon Gilbert, Mark Vondell, and John Mollahan is the rundown along with Michael McLean. He had a good truck until the big start of the accidents there. Tony Cox and David Murray as well. Click It RV FEG Setup Series Championship night tonight coming up as soon as we wrap up post-race. Let's take a look one more time at the Virginia811.com. Dig with care, race summary. And there it is, 4 cautions in total, 12 caution laps, double overtime, 13 lead changes. It took a total of 41 laps to officially, 42 laps to officially complete this race. So there you go. Coming up, we'll grab Win, our friend in Canada, and more. Don't go nowhere. iRacing, LSRTV. Welcome back to round number 2 of the FEG PC Money Events Wednesday, Wild Wednesday Super Speedway Money Series on LSRTV. Jason Rockefeller, I'm Wesley Outlet, Charles Wooten on production, and when it's all said and done, Kyler Wynn, our friend of the North of Canada, getting the win. Second different winner on the series this year. First, let's grab the third place man, Chevrolet number 5, Matthew Baker. Matthew, pretty wild scramble there at the end, just kind of ride and drive, find your spot, your take of getting third tonight, man.
Yeah, that early race caution really sent us to the back. I wanted to stay and try and get fuel for a one-stop race, but the chaos was all towards the beginning of the race. Towards the middle of the race, it was a good run there. Got hooked up with Navarro, Jones, and Kyler there, and Merck, my teammate. So we were able to really roll and try and put a gap on the pack. But as soon as they caught us, the chaos ensued, and I just stayed committed there in the third spot to push whoever was on the bottom to that win, and fortunately, Kyler got it.
And Matthew, obviously, congratulations on finishing third here tonight, man. I know you wanted that top spot. And I talked to Wesley and Charles, during pre-race, and I said this is a lot tighter than Talladega. So being up at the front is going to mean a lot more when it comes down to the end of these races. Do you think that's probably what was the key here tonight, was staying up at the front instead of going from the back to the front like you usually can do at Talladega?
Yeah, you usually want to stay either at the very back or towards the very front. When you're at Daytona, anywhere in the middle is where the problems start to happen, and it proved it when Andrew almost got turned into, but he was out there in the lead and I was all the way in the back, and then everyone wrecked in the middle. We were able to meet up there at the end and get it done.
Well, Mr. Baker, before I let you go, man, I want you to thank your sponsors, and we'll see you next week at Talladega again.
Yeah, just thanks to Coasting Thunder, MBG Motorsports, Baker & Son Construction. Thanks to my teammate Merck, had a little bit of bad luck there. Almost got that outside line rolling, just couldn't get the hookup that he needed in that second car. Thanks to Andrew, Kyler, and Dylan for playing nice on that pit stop and getting us out front for the track position. And thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast.
Matthew Baker, Chevrolet number 5 will finish in the number 3 position here tonight at Daytona. Floridian Andrew Navarro, nothing wrong with silver. You'll finish second right there in the hunt of trying to win like you did at Talladega last week. And man, I want to say there was a lot of breaks you had, a lot of mulligans, some seats parted, accidents happened, puts you in the favor of being up there in the front, but obviously a really, really strong race truck. Your take of being in second. And Kyler Wynn pushed you on the last restart to the front, but then he knew he had to do what he had to do to win the race. Your take of tonight's event, Andrew?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We actually got a green flag pit stop in, which is always a treat when you're plate racing for money. And then it was pretty smooth sailing, and then obviously the yellow kind of complicated things. And we were just able to play the restarts fairly well and I'm happy with second. So and Kyler got the win, and we were working with him, so pretty happy with it.
And Andrew, congratulations on finishing second tonight here, my friend. And obviously, you go back to Talladega next week. Shades of what you saw last week. Obviously, you took home the victory, second here tonight. How do you feel like your chances are? Because, you know, obviously the chances are always high for everybody going into those super speedways.
Yeah, you just gotta, you know, go one race at a time and hope not to get wrecked, honestly. Which we were able to do today. We almost got caught up in something. I luckily saw it happening and went all the way low. But yeah, I mean, it's Talladega, anything can happen, so you just kind of gotta roll with the punches and hopefully not get wrecked.
Andrew, definitely a totally different race tonight at Daytona than Talladega last week for you, sure. You finally started getting cautions at the end of double overtime last week to win at Talladega. There has been cautions scattered all through this race. Do you literally prepare to run Daytona differently than Talladega, even though they're two monster super speedways of comparison?
Yeah, kind of like what Baker said. You know, you either want to be all the way in the back or all the way at the front. Third lane doesn't really get rolling, only for about 2 laps, and obviously the engines get really hot when you're behind somebody, and it's very hard to make any moves. So you know, I would like to say you want to run it differently, but it's kind of the same thing where you want to avoid everything and don't get involved in anything.
Sponsors, buddy, on to Talladega next week.
Celebrity Cruises, Platinum Performance, Adrenaline Captures, Blading for the Paint Scheme, my family downstairs watching, Martin Sports, you guys for broadcasting, and Jeff for putting on the league.
Of course, one of those guys you're going to be watching on the eNASCAR Road to Pro Series as well, man. This guy is a talent from Naples, Florida. Andrew Navarro will finish in the number 2 position. Our friend at Canada, Kyler Wynn. Kyler, hey, congratulations to you, buddy. What a wild finish. Right place, right time. You gave the push to Navarro on that last restart, but then you had to get in line for yourself to win. You're the second different winner this year on the tour out of 2 races. Your take on getting this win tonight here at Daytona, and big kudos to you.
Yeah, it was great. Great race. Daytona is not my best track. I prefer Talladega a lot. It was smooth sailing after the lap 1 incident. Got about a minute of damage from that, but it didn't really affect me. There was somebody who missed the shift, and I got rear-ended, but thankfully for the new damage model, I think kind of saved me there. After I fixed the minute of damage, I didn't feel anything at all. It's great. Played the race perfectly strategy-wise. Made a great pit call, pulled most of the field, and then we got a late yellow and just kept control from there. It was a great race.
And Kyler, congratulations on the victory tonight, man. You did a heck of a job out front. And coming off turn 4 there, coming to the checkered flag, you got clear of Andrew, obviously, and the rest of the field. And I was thinking to myself, oh, surely he might come up. Surely he might stay on the bottom, though, at the same time. Do you think if you would have came up and tried to block the run, that you probably would have been put in a sucker hole or ended up wrecking? But instead, you decided to stay on the bottom, made the smart move, and you came across the line 7/1000ths of a second ahead of the rest of the field.
Yeah, that's just like experience. Like, there's situations where you want to come up there, and there's also more where you don't. I decided to stay low, and Baker gave me great pushes. He was still locked on my bumper, and I was pretty sure that I was still going to win that race. It was close, but I still won.
Going to be a fun one for sure next week at Talladega. Kyler, I think if I remember correctly, weren't you on the podium last week too, along with Navarro? Am I correct?
I honestly don't remember. I think I got wrecked. I don't remember. It was I ran a lot of these races.
You get the win, man. So I'll let you go. Thank your sponsors, buddy. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Thanks to Sim Motion on the truck. Same with Reco Performance. They provided great setups throughout my regular season. Of course, I wasn't able to advance for him, but yeah.
Kyler Wynn gets that number 82 machine in victory lane. The driver, of course, driving a Chevrolet to win here in round number 2. Double overtime for the FEG PC Customs Wild Wednesday Money Super Speedway Series tonight. And we're on to Talladega next week. Well, we got to part ways quickly because they've got it about 15-20 minutes green flag for race number 2, though it will not be broadcasted. They do have another money race on tap as well. Jason, always fun working with you, brother. We'll have about an hour and a half breather before the big championship race tonight. Your final take it tonight from Daytona.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic racing tonight for sure, Wesley. It's Daytona, so it's the world center of racing. Anything can happen. Obviously, we saw chaos ensue at Talladega last week. The same thing happens tonight, and Kyler Wynn pulled a 1,000 IQ move right there by staying on the bottom, coming off turn 4, was able to win that by the 007 margin. Remember, Ryan Blaney, I'm a Ryan Blaney guy myself. He won 2 Talladega races by 7 1,000ths of a second, so they call him Mr. James Bond. I'm looking forward to next weekend from Talladega as well.
I'm seeing some of the frustration on some of these people's in the chat box, but of course, when it's all said and done, a big, big win going out to the driver of Kyler Wynn. It's on to Talladega next week. Should be a fun one. FEG, PC Customs.com for more information, and your home for sim racing at livesimracing.com. Rocket Racing Media, and of course, LSRTV. For Charles Wooten, Jeff Stabnow, Jason Rockefeller in the booth. I'm Wesley Outland. Enjoy the rest of your week. Make it a great one. We'll be back next Wednesday, Talladega. Good night. Congrats again, Kyler Wynn, running tonight at Daytona.